Hey, it's the SBP Podcast, Mobile Filmmaking. You're listening to episode 146, and I am your host, Susie Botello. I just realized that June 19th in numbers is 619, which is the area code for San Diego. But you know what? Why I'm even bringing this up is because June 19th is when we open the submissions for all the contests and all the competitions for the 2024 13th edition of the International Mobile Film Festival. And please stay tuned. We're making a change to the feature film contest, the competition. We're upping the game a bit, but by doing that, it's actually going to be better for the filmmakers who submit their feature films. You'll have to just stay tuned for that. I'm sure that I will bring it up again here, but either way, and or if not, you can go to the Film Festival website and get all the details as soon as we are ready to publish those. For sure, they will be published at least at the latest on the day that we open submissions, which is usually at midnight, basically, on June 19th, 619, the area code for San Diego. I'm feeling a bit goofy tonight. Our guests for this episode, they were in our film festival. They submitted a short film, Me versus Me. Their names are Monique Gall and Rome Gall. And I can't wait to share them with you. So let me go back for 1 second and tell you to go to our website to see what's going to happen with the feature films and to see all the competitions and all the details, the rules, the categories, the criteria. By the way, did you know that 10% of the total footage of your film for any competition or contest can be shot with a drone? Any camera on a drone. I'm sure you're not going to put your RE up there on a drone, but hey, you know, it's 2023. Anything can happen, right? No, but in all seriousness, you can use a different camera for aerial footage shot with a drone, but it can only be a total maximum of 10% of the total length of your film. And that includes the credits and things like that. So anyways, the website is internationalmobilefilmfestival.com. And just go there, go to the tab and check out rules, and you'll get all the details there. All right, are you guys ready to, have a nice conversation and discussion with our guests, Monique and Rome? Because I am. So, you know what? Let's go. Got a little treat for you. I wanted to give a big shout out to Ryan Camp for what's coming up right now. The red carpet is in your pocket.
The International Mobile Film Festival was a fantastic experience for me. The team was very supportive and they offered clear feedback and communication through the entire process.
If you're making movies with your smartphone camera, then we want to see them at the International Mobile Film Festival in San Diego, California. Get all the details at internationalmobilefilmfestival.com.
mobilefilmfestival.com. Now I can walk the red carpet with what's in my pocket.
All right, here we are with Monique and Rome. Hey, guys.
Hey. Yay. Hey, how you doing?
Oh, my God. It's been like a whole month.
It's been too long.
I know it's been forever, and it's only been a month, but it's been a long month.
It's been a long month.
Yes.
You know why? Because we had so much fun. We had such a great time. That's why.
Yeah. And I hear you guys are still talking about the festival?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you know, it's what's funny is after we left the festival, I've been like going back and forth with Chelsea on IG, Levi. You know, we'll do some, you know, IG messaging, DMs, and stuff like that, which is fun. And I stay looking at the pictures every day. I'm always looking at the pictures, like, oh, this is so much fun. I really highly enjoyed it. It was wonderful.
It was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
A great experience.
Well, you guys helped to make that experience really well. I mean, quite honestly, it was such, I wouldn't say a group effort because it was completely effortless. But I think that the vibe and the energy in the film festival this year, I really believe that it topped any other year, and it should. I mean, we went around the clock.
Yes.
It's like the 12th one, right? Yeah.
Wow.
It should.
Wow. I mean, yes. Walking in, and just everyone, even when we got there, when we parked, we got there, just you being outside, your energy, your presence, that big hug I gave you and you gave me back. And walking in and meeting all the filmmakers, I think everyone's presence and energy was just welcoming. It was very warm, welcoming, and it's like we knew each other before. It just felt
like family getting back together type thing, huh?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it did. It felt like family getting back together, and we just came. We're like, oh, come on, let's sit down and watch some films together. So it felt really great. And one thing I loved also was the breaks where we had lunch and I got to sit with I sat with Jasper. We got to talk it out and just talk about filmmaking, and like we knew each other for some time. So it just felt really, really good. It felt really great.
Yeah, I'm still buzzing from it, quite honestly, because, you know, the other thing too, outside of Levi, right, who was there the year before, you know, I hadn't met anybody like before in person, and none of you guys had met each other as well. So it was really cool. And I think even though you weren't there for the kickoff the night before, you just slipped right in. Just, I mean, even though, that would have been great, but you slipped right in and felt so welcomed, and you welcomed everybody, the entire space.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think also it's from leading up to it, where you were posting and we get to comment on each other's post. And Chelsea, she actually contacted me on one of the comments and said she can't wait to see our film, and that was really nice. You know, we didn't even get to San Diego yet, and so when I got there, it was so great to meet her and her team, and so it just felt really welcoming. I just think when you first get there and the introduction, it just makes you feel like you're a part of the group. You don't feel like an outcast. Yeah, it just
like,
felt
hey,
really,
you're
really
home.
I know, it did.
And you guys drove from LA to San Diego on Saturday, then you drove back. Then you drove back again on Sunday. Oh my God.
Yes. We have a pet. So we have a pet, and we're really funny about having people watch him right now. So we were saying, let's
just do a round trip.
Let's do a round trip, to
make sure.
Oh man, I remember doing that too myself with my parents and stuff. Like my parents would go to LA almost every single weekend. Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah, because there were they performed there. They were doing flamenco shows and things like that, and they would go back and forth there. Almost every weekend. I mean, I swear.
Wow.
And it's like, it's really, now it's a little, it depends, especially on the weekends, there's more traffic.
Traffic.
Yeah. Well, for us, which was amazing, was that going back and forth, the traffic was amazing. It was fluid. It was very, it took us about an hour and probably like 45 minutes each way. We got there really fast.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, now that we know that, we'll have to. Yeah, no. You'll have to come back. I know a lot of the people there are definitely planning on coming back, and I want to talk about some of the projects that you're going to be working on to make sure that you come back. But even if you don't, you're coming back, right? So we're getting the family together again next year.
Yes.
I want to share with, I think we should now at least introduce you a little more formally for our listeners. Guys, this is Monique and Rome that you're listening to. And one of the cool things about Monique is that, Monique, you were born in New York, right? In Brooklyn.
Yes, in Brooklyn. Yes.
That's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like right in the heart of it.
That's in the heart of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yes. I lived in Ebbsfield, Brooklyn. That's where the Dodgers? They used to play there back in the days, and then they built these condos on it on the field. And so I grew up. I was born in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, and then we moved to Canarsie, Brooklyn, where I went to high school, junior high school.
Yeah. I wouldn't have guessed.
Really?
Yeah, because the Brooklyn accent, the New York,
Yeah, I mean, it's there. I can put it on. I think because my parents are West Indian, so they would very much speak proper Monique, but especially my mom. But no, I can bring
can bring it on.
I can bring the New York. I can bring the New York out for you if you want. You want the New York?
Oh, nice.
New York for you.
Yeah, I love accents. I do.
Yeah,
I've always tripped out on accents because I got one too. My Spanish one comes out once in a while as well. But you were born there, and then you went and you lived in Panama.
Yes, I lived in Panama City on my dad's side of the family, Rio Bajo. That's the city, Rio Bajo, and I stayed with my. At this time, my grandmother was living out there with my aunts, my cousins, and so I stayed out there till about 4 years old, and then we all moved back together to New York. And when I got to America, I'm meeting my mom really for the first time. And so that was like an issue. So they had to kind of I had to slowly get to know my mom again. And, but yeah, it was great. I loved it. And every summer, as I was saying earlier, that every summer I was going to Panama, after school and when school was out. And then we would come back once the summer was out and go back to school in New York. But yeah, so that was my experience.
So
I loved it.
You would go to Panama and have fun, and then you'd come back here and dig in with studying, right?
Yes. Then the schooling. Yeah. Then my mom is like, okay, now time for school. Yeah. Get the maze.
That's funny. And then after that, and then you were a dancer. Now I've seen this in your Instagram stories and stuff like that. You were a professional dancer, which I commend you for, because I am not. I have not been given that gift of dancing. I saw myself dance once and I said, no, I'm never moving again in that way. But you did award shows like, the Grammys, the MTV Video Awards and BET Awards.
My dance career, of course, started when I, of course, moved back to America, and I would go with my sister to dance school, and me and my sister, we don't have the same dad, but he adopted me like I was his daughter, and I would always go with them, and he just asked me one day, do I want to take class? And I said, yes, I want to take class, and I started in jazz class and tap. That was my training. And then I just knew how to do hip hop. It was just something that was just second nature. And plus my family is a dancing family. So my dad loves to dance. And so from there, in the neighborhood in Brooklyn, that's, kids would come together and we'll just be like, hey, my name is this, Monique, you want to dance? And so let's make up a routine. And so I made friends with some of the girls in the neighborhood, and we came together and put some dance routines together. And so we would do some talent shows. And then from there, we won a lot of first place talent shows, awards and things like that. So I started to feel like, okay, this is something I want to do. I really, really want to do this. And then I got the opportunity to audition for a reggae artist. His name was Little Vicious. he was a Brooklyn artist, and he was opening for Immature, and I think for Usher as well. This is when everyone was first coming out, and I was 15 at the time, and I was still I was in high school, and of course I begged my mom, can I tour, and it would be on the weekends. So I auditioned and got the job and would go on tour on the weekends after school. And then I just caught the bug. I was like, oh, I have to do this. And I was able to, on weekends, find out, like, make friends with other dancers in the industry. And they would tell me about auditions in the city in Manhattan. And I would just audition for a lot of artists for music videos. And I would just be getting picked. And it was amazing. I got to dance for Luther Vandross, one of his music videos before he passed on, and Will Smith. Will Smith I danced with for about 2 years, or probably more actually. For sometimes we did. I did Getting Jiggy with It, and the whole Wild Wild West, the whole era of that, and I got to tour with him. We toured Europe, and I did the Grammy Awards with him as well. And I worked with Fatima Robinson. She's a well-renowned choreographer, and she just took me under her wing. And I was able to dance for also the Backstreet Boys. And this is just that era. Right. The Backstreet Boys, Gwen Stefani, just a lot of different artists. So, it's just been a real true blessing.
Wow.
Yeah, to be, yeah.
So you were around the greats.
Yeah, I got to be around a lot of celebrity and just bring my energy, be that backup dancer to bring the energy to give the show some pizzazz, right. With the rest of the dancers. And it was just, I still love it. I think that's probably why I am a martial artist now, because I love movement. Movement has always been my first love. And, I got to really dance with some really, really amazing people.
I think it comes in handy too. In a way, choreographing performances, like the combat training that you had and things like that. I'm sure all of that kind of tied in together, right?
Yeah, it did. It did. When I started American Kempo Karate, and we would learn techniques, and it was easy to grasp the techniques because of learning choreography. So I would always remember it, and I would always kind of graft every technique together so I can remember, like I would do a dance with like a dance routine. And but the only thing was, it was just getting the technique correctly and knowing the anatomy of the body. Yeah. So that was a little bit different. Okay, what to attack, that type of thing. But definitely my dance background definitely helped me tremendously with martial arts.
Which also helped you in getting cast in a bunch of, because let me see. So you were training at the Performing Arts Conservatory in California and in New York. Yes.
I studied with Gloria Gifford Conservatory out here in California. So when I moved from New York to California when I was about 19. And I moved with my uncle, who's on my dad's side of the family. And they just took me under their wing as well, and showed me around, LA. And my dance career was actually still moving forward at that time. So I would use that to save up my money so I can get myself into school. Because I knew I wanted to move to California for acting, not for dance. But my dance career ended up making me some money. And once I got the amount of money that I needed, I put myself in a conservatory and got to just learn the craft. And that's one thing about me. I always want to learn the craft. I love learning. And because I didn't want to just get on set and wing it. I want to really go through the training. And this training was like a Juilliard training where we had to know every playwright. We had to watch all the greats like the Godfathers and Chinatown, just all those Kramer versus Kramer, the Eyes of Laura Mars, Laura,
all these films that got the big classics, awards and everything too.
Yes,
for a reason.
We definitely, for a reason. Yes, amazing. And just to watch those type of actors and their brilliancy, if that's a word. Yeah.
Well, like Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep.
Yes,
and,
Dustin. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes. And so we ingested that, and I did a lot of plays and theater.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about.
Theater. It was very theater based, And she also worked on my, as you were saying, the Brooklyn accent. She also worked on my accent because I had a very strong New York accent, and she was like, you have to kind of neutralize it a little because every role isn't going to be Brooklyn. Every role is not going to be Brooklyn, so you might have to play a lawyer. You don't want to be from California. So she helped me with that in the school, in the class, and yeah, so I got the training, and I was in that for about I trained for a good, I think, 5 years with the conservatory.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was hardcore.
Yeah. You were just mentioning, when you were talking about the accent, it was reminding me in my media classes in college about in media announcing, and they said, if you have any kind of an accent, you got to get rid of it because the goal was to sound like you're from the in the United States, right? The Midwestern type accent, which is basically none, is basically very generic.
Exactly. Yeah.
So nothing stands out. But you were also talking about playing a lawyer, and then I was noticing that you were cast in feature films, but you were also cast in a bunch of like primetime TV shows.
Procedurals, yeah. And it's funny because with acting, I felt the roles chose me. It was like because I've worked on so many procedurals, but they choose me. I will audition for so many other TV shows, but these cop shows or lawyer shows or just type of shows. I remember my first audition. So I got my first TV credit in my first year of the conservatory, which was kind of like big because no one really does that. And but the funny thing was, it was just my hunger. I just knew my intentions. I just knew, I said, I'm going to get something. The opportunity will come. And I got my first agent through a showcase through the class. And so he started to send me out. And I finally got an audition for The District, which was led by Craig T. Nelson. And the director was Oz Scott. And when I went in for the audition, actually my agent called me, was like, hey, Monique, we got an audition for you. It's for The District. And I was like, yeah. They were like, it's in 2 hours. You got to go now. I said, oh my gosh, I have to learn that. We have to learn the dialogue. They were like, you can learn it on your way there. So when I got there, I read with the casting director, Karen Ray. I remember Karen Ray. And she, I was reading with her, and she was like, wait, where are you from? And I was like, I'm from Brooklyn. She's like, well, give me Brooklyn. I need to see Brooklyn, And then she was just like, when did you get this material? I said, I just got it. She was like, okay, step out, learn your dialogue, and come back in and give it to me. So when I came back, I don't know if my technique was there, but I just gave her everything. And she was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to give you a call back today. Can you come back in an hour? And this is a time where the producers, you had to read with the producers, back in 2000, like you couldn't, they can cast you without meeting the producers. But before, when I was first starting, you had to meet with the producers.
Wow. And
the director. And so they came, I came back and they were there. And so before I went in, she was like, okay, give me Brooklyn. She was just pumping me up. So I went in and I just went, I gave them my everything. And literally when I walked out the room, I booked a job.
Nice.
Yes, I booked a job, and it was my first TV opportunity, and my scene was with Craig T. Nelson, and I was playing, of course, a street girl from Washington, D.C., which I knew best, about, not from Washington, but being from Brooklyn. And so I gave my all with that. And that was just such a blessing, because once that open door happened, I was able to book other jobs.
You left the door open. You put that little slip in the door, said, you're not shutting on me now. That's so cool. Yeah. And you've also, you work on SWAT, more recent?
Yes, that's my recent. I shot SWAT in December, and I've auditioned for SWAT. This is for every actor out there that don't give up. Let's just say that. So SWAT is in their 6th season. They're going to their 7th. I started auditioning for SWAT in their 1st season, and I would go in. My agent at the time, she was. I mean, I would go in almost every other week for SWAT for a role, and I would never get. It just wouldn't hit. And then the season would end, and it would be the 2nd season. I'll go in again. 3rd season, nothing. 4th season, 5th season was during the heart of the pandemic, and I got a role, and they ended up pinning me for that role. And this was a really fun one because I was like, oh, I get to run and get on a boat, and the bad guys are chasing me, and I was like, yes, this is it. This is my action role because I believe for an action role. Yes, And I was pinned, and it was up between me and another female, and the other female ended up getting it. But the producers told my agent, they were like, we love her so much, we're gonna find something for her. So I was like, okay, great. And then the 5th season ended, and I was like, they didn't find anything for me, And so then the 6th season happened, and I auditioned for, I think, a couple episodes. And then this one came up, and this one felt right to me personally in my spirit, my soul. It just felt right. And I put myself on tape, and I literally booked the job, I think, a couple days later. They just booked me. I didn't even have a call back or anything like that. They just booked me on that one, and I got to work with some. This is another thing. So the district and the SWAT was directed by the same director. So I got to work with Scott again for SWAT recently, which I haven't worked with him since 2000 when I did the district.
Oh.
So it's been So it was like 23 years, and I was like, oh, and he looks the same. And I was like, Oz, you don't remember me? So it was fun. It was fun to see him again and be directed by him again, and work with Jay Harrington, which is one of my favorite SWATs. I don't know if you watch SWAT.
Well, because I don't have cable TV, but I just caught it. I think it was like on Amazon or something, right? Yeah. So yes, I started watching it, but of course, right now, and I'm looking for you. I'm looking for you because, I got to see you. I mean, I know you. Yes. This is the way that I'm going to watch SWAT is because, Monique is there. This is a good little segue to talk about poor little Rome over there who's just patiently
Rome. He's patiently awaiting.
So at what point, Rome, give us a little bit about, your history and how you and Monique met.
Oh. That's going back now. History, how we met. We met actually in New York. As you know, Monique is from Brooklyn, and so am I. Oh. We actually met which is funny that when we look at it as a whole, it's like so many ways we could have missed each other, but we didn't, obviously. But we met in our church home in New York, and I felt like that was the station where God set us up to meet because there was so much going on and so many other things we could have done or so many places we could have been that we would have definitely not met. But we met in our church home, and obviously both are artists. And it's funny because Monique already had planned to go to LA. That's where I would have probably almost missed her. She's been wanting to go back to Cali, going back to Cali ever since she left it and came back to New York. So I caught her right in time, and I obviously as an artist knew I'd be end up out here. So we did that voyage, that trip, that a little adventure, I call it, together, and came on out here. But yeah, we met in New York over 10 years, over a decade ago, and been flying high ever since.
And you said you were an artist?
Oh, yeah. So me, I'm obviously film, television, but my main thing is comedy. So I was doing a lot of shows. I mean, still do, not as much with everything's going on, but yeah. So I was more on the stage performing, and I do a lot of commercial work as well, but yeah.
Nice. So you guys get to share some great stories, battle wounds or whatever they call them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of that.
He's my therapist.
Call each other.
I'm sure that goes both ways, right, Rome?
Yes. Yep.
Call
It
it
is.
stage wife and
Stage husband.
Oh,
Yep.
nice.
We do. Yeah. And he's my reader. I'm his reader for especially during the pandemic when we had to put ourselves on tapes for everything. So we were each other's reader, and it's actually really great to have a partner who is in the industry that can give you notes, and we both of us go back and forth.
Yeah, because it's hard to memorize stuff.
Yeah, I mean, which is funny. In the beginning it was really hard for me, but now it comes really fast. It comes. I digest it really easy now. And I don't know if it's because of the training, but I digest it really. Yeah, you do it for so long. It's just like
kind of becomes second nature.
And I think also if you do your homework, if you're really researching the character and really digging in yourself, I think for me the dialogue comes really easy.
Yeah, I guess they kind of do play well together in that way. I used to take drama classes because we moved a lot, and one of the best ways to meet new people was to slip into the drama class when you're new in school, and I always had such a hard. I could do improvisation, but when it came to memorizing lines, I was just horrible at it. But what you're talking about is very helpful, because when you have someone following you while you're memorizing your lines, you have that soundboard basically, so that you're getting it right.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. We read. We're always reading it. I know when the theatrical casting directors were open. They're not. I'm not sure if they're open yet. We're still putting ourselves on tape, but I always read with Rome before I left the house. It's always good to just to hear it out, because you don't want to go into the room with the casting director cold. I mean, sometimes you have to, but I'd rather if you have someone that you can just bounce things off of, and vice versa. It's the easiest and more. It gives you more peace and less nerves going in.
Yeah, I'm sure. And now, all right, guys. Now here we go. So we're going to talk about, first of all, you have a production company, right? And you guys produce films, right? And what the heck brought you to making a movie with a phone?
Oh,
where'd that come from?
Well, we started our production is called Rome Productions, which is Rome and Monique. Rome Productions, and we did a project before Me Versus Me. It was called The Undercovers, and we both wrote The Undercovers. It's a dark comedy cop show. dark comedy horror cop show, and we made a lot of mistakes with that production, with the budgeting, and it was a very big production, and I just learned a lot of lessons with it. And so the pandemic happened, and we weren't able to finish shooting that project. And so I was kind of bummed by that. More than Rome, he was fine, but I was a little bit bummed by that, because I'm more of the stickler of the producer that wants everything, cross the T, dot the I type of producer. And so, when you don't meet certain things, it's just like, and so I just had to learn a lesson from that, and how we budgeted, that project, and just casting so many people at the time. It was just a lot. And so during the pandemic, when you're auditioning so much, and I've been on so many shows and working, behind the scenes and background dancer, just so many things. I wanted, this is how Me Versus Me came about. I wanted something, I was like, honestly, in my prayer closet, just saying, I want something for me. I just want something for me. I just want to be able to show my gift and my talent, versus being behind someone, with a big name. And so I was just like, I just want something for me. And and just the idea of just talking about what I've gone through in, the fear of success. And no one really talks about that. They talk about fear of failure, but the fear of success was something that came, that I dealt with coming up, even though I danced with so many people and I worked with on so many shows and films. I still had this comfortability of being behind people. I had this thing of like, oh, I'm not the lead. I can't, let them be the lead. Or forfeiting, certain blessings that would come into my hands because I was a little bit afraid to stand out, or just be in the forefront. And so I was just really, really at this comfortable place. And I just wanted to talk about that in it. So that's where the concept of Me Versus Me came about, where she's just making excuses. My character, Michelle Montgomery, is making excuses on, going after the promotion because a promotion that she really wants, but she doesn't think she's adequate, And so, I ended up writing that short, and I told Rome, I was like, Rome, I wrote the short, and I wrote it in a day, and then I just kept cleaning it up. Of course, I cleaned it up until we actually shot it. And even when you're shooting it, you're still cleaning it up. And I said, and I was like, Rome, I wrote this project. Please read it. And he was just like, oh, this is great, And at the time, I didn't have like who I wanted to cast or anything like that. I just had this script, and so I was like, I really want to make this. And at the time, being the pandemic was happening, we just couldn't spend the way we spent for the last web series that we, made a mistake in. And it's a learning lesson. I wouldn't say it's a mistake. It's not a mistake, right, Rome?
Well, everything's connected, right?
It's lessons. Yeah. And so, so I just was like, oh, I would love to make this. And I would just honestly, I'm a very praying person. So I would just, pray about it. Like, God, I just want to make this, like, bring someone some people that will, be a blessing to this project, or, because I wasn't really seeing, a lot of my friends at the time because of the pandemic. And so this was like in 2022. And out of nowhere, one of Rome's friends who does comedy, he's a stand-up comedian who Rome had a show. Tell him, your show, Good Times Comedy. He has a show called Good Times Comedy. And Grant, who's a comedian, he also,
I think I know that name, Grant.
Yeah, Grant Carter. Yeah, Grant Carter. He's the director of Me Versus Me. And but he also helped us with our web series as well. And he knew, like, I love to play, like, I love playing law enforcement or very authoritative characters. And so he called me. He was like, hey, Mo, are you available? I would love for you to be a part of my project. I want you to play a CO. And I was like, yeah, I would love to play it. I was like, yeah, let's go. And his was a comedy. And so when he sent me the script, it was tons of dialogue. And he showed me a clip of what he already shot. And when I saw the clip, it was shot with an iPhone. And I was like blown away. When I say, Susie, I was so blown away by it, because I was like, I spent all this money with this web series getting red cameras and all these things. Not saying that's a bad thing, but, because of course we're going to still use, cameras like that. But I was just blown away by his project. And I said, wow, okay, yes, definitely. I would love to do your project. So I went to shoot his project. And after, he said, Monique, if you have anything, I would love to shoot it for you. And I said, well, yeah, I have something called Me Versus, I have this project. And he was like, send it to me. And I ended up sending him the script. And when I say I texted him the script, let's say it's at 5:00, right? He texted me back around 5:05 and was like, I just finished reading it. It's wonderful. Let's do it. And we decided to shoot. I said, I want it exactly how you shot your his was a pilot project, pilot presentation. And I said, I want you to do exactly like you did that. And because I loved his eye, and he actually directed and shot his. So I wanted him to direct and shoot Me Versus Me. And he was like, okay, cool. And from there, we just came, Rome and I, we started to talk about the cast, who we wanted to, cast. And I said, Rome, you would be perfect to play my my villain. I was like, we would be perfect to play the villain, Rome, because I needed someone who was just, who could get at me, who can really get under my skin, but also do it funny, and just really draw people. And I said, Rome is that person. He's that type of comic that is an improv, like you were talking about earlier. He improvs really well. And plus Grant Carter is also a comedian. So I was like, oh, they're going to work really well together with our scene. And then Diddi, Gloria, we call her Gloria, Diddi. She was the one who's in the film. She was on the FaceTime with me. And also she played my Michelle, my character's double, because I had to fight, me versus me.
I wish we could show is your film gonna be out on? Well,
not yet. We're gonna wait till the end of the year, because I submitted to a few more festivals. So we have to wait till I think probably the end of the year,
we'll have to
and
keep
then
everyone. When it comes out, you'll have to come back.
Yes, and so I've known Gloria for about 18 years, because we also danced together back in the day. And so we've been friends, since then. And she just jumped along. I asked her, I said, hey, are you available? Would you be able to do this? She said, yes, I would love to. And so she jumped on. And then Fernando, who was, he played Mr. Morris, my boss, as well as the person I did, the fight scene with. He's also a trainer. He's my trainer. He trains me as well in martial arts. And so I asked him, I said, hey, I needed my boss to know martial arts. So I asked him, and he was like, I'm down. So he was down. And then, everyone else just came along with that. And
had you worked with the people involved before?
Yeah, well, as actors, no. I just took a chance.
Nice.
We just took a chance on it. I ended up helping Gloria with the acting, so we did a little coaching sessions. So I had the time to do that. So we did some coaching sessions, and then I didn't give Fernando too much dialogue, because he hasn't done acting. So I worked with him as well, and then Grant, of course, worked with him as well.
Let's give them all a shout out, with their last names and everything. All right, ready?
Yes.
Come on, go for it.
I want to give a shout out to, of course, first and foremost, Grant Carter, our director, who's just so wonderful and just had the vision and had the passion for this project. I want to shout out Fernando Berno. He's our martial artist, Mr. Morris, also the boss of Me versus Me. I want to shout out Gloria Diddi Allen, who also played my double in the film, but also my best friend Angie in the film. I also want to shout out Nate Anderson, who was a PA on set, Bethany Berno, who is Fernando's daughter, who also was a PA on set, and Tamar Lewis, who is our editor. And we all came together. Of course, Mr. Rome Gall, who played Glenn, as well. And I just want to thank every single last one of them for just, coming out during the pandemic and taking COVID tests before we shot, and and just the whole process, and just bringing their love for the arts, but also the love for us, for me and Rome. I think, it's how you treat people. Be honest with you, is how you really your kindness and how you treat people. It'll be reciprocated back to you, and that's how I feel about you, Susie. I think that you're the same way with how you just brought who you are to this festival, and you just drew good people to you because of who you are, and I think that that's what happened. I know that's what happened with Me versus Me, with just everyone coming along, every person that I named, and just giving their all, and just saying, yeah, I got this, yeah, Mo, let's do it, and it was just it was a blessing. It was a real blessing.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's something about, I've always said in working in films that you're building a family, and sometimes you're working on the next film because you want to bring the family back together again. Because I know when I started working on actual films was in 2006. I was doing video production forever before that. Wow. And it was like, oh my God, finally I get to work on films. And, there was this whole thing around that time about networking. And I was like, that is so businessy. It's so it's like networking. It just sounds so weird. It's like, oh, we're all handing each other, not credit cards. I almost said credit cards, business cards. And that's what we're doing. It's just networking. And then you put your business card somewhere and then you're just copying it down. And I would email people before social media was really a thing, because I didn't want anything to do with Facebook until I started the film festival. And,
yes, I think that's all of us.
And I was doing this whole, emailing, and, we would just keep these emails going back and forth. And what's the next project? How can we work together again? And you find some of the people that were working on some films working on the next films, and then you meet new people, and it's just such an amazing industry to work in, Monique. It's very unique.
It is. And I always choose people who are, they're just passionate and creative, and you can just feel it out. You just feel it out, and you create a community of people who are just like-minded with you, that really want to put something in the world, put something out there to inspire others. And so I know that's how, our team came together, and definitely with the next project that I have a couple that one that's a feature, and then that I wrote, and then also another short film that I actually want to shoot with a mobile.
That's where I want to talk about.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yes, this one is an actual action film. This is full on action, and of course I wrote a role for myself, and because that was also the initial reason why I'm starting to do filmmaking, was because of being an actor. And this is for actors out there who aren't getting the opportunities. You've been in the industry for a long time, or you haven't, and you want to break in, but you're not getting the doors opening for you in the type of roles you really want to play. And so I started to just write lead roles for myself, and then also roles for people that I may know, or my thing is I love casting people who are unknown that are great, and giving them some opportunities, some tape to be able to get more for themselves as well. So that's my passion as a filmmaker.
I have to say something about that, because I just kind of woke up to that a couple of years ago. And maybe that's also the result of the pandemic as well. But I noticed in a lot of streaming shows and movies, right?
Yes.
They're really good, and they would have never seen the light of day had it not been for streaming, because they can't go on, not every film goes to the home box office. I remember years ago, people would go, did I miss this in the theaters? It's like, no, it never went there, it never got there. And I think it's opened doors for really good stories to be told with film, because I'm preaching this a lot. You're talking about praying, and I'm the preacher. That you need great actors. If you're going to tell really great stories, those then you have great characters in order to portray those characters right, to give you that story, give power to that story. Then you need those great actors. And a lot of actors that are in a lot of films streaming right now, Netflix and you name it, right? And these are memorable films that you just keep tossing around in your head. And there are actors that you've never seen before.
You don't see. Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Yep.
There's a show that I'm watching right now. I mean, you may know maybe like one or two people on this, but it's so many actors in this show. It's called From.
Oh, yes.
Have you watched
just
From?
Started watching that. I'm waiting for the next one.
Oh, it's so good. The season 2 has have you watched season 1?
Well, yes.
Okay.
I watched it in 3 days. I think I watched the whole
me too. Me too. It's so good. And I don't know half those people on that show. And when I say such great acting, it just brings you back. It draws you back in, and the writing is amazing, and I'm always looking at listening to the dialogue and things like that, because I love writing, and it just draws me back every week. I'm hungry to see From, and it's so wonderful to see fresh faces, new faces, diversity. It's really, really amazing to see that. And I definitely, I can't wait till Sunday for the next episode.
Yeah. I'm really loving that show. And it's funny that you brought it up, because I was thinking about, it's so intense and it's got such a simple name.
Yes.
From. I mean, what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because where are they from? Where's everyone from? But it's a very intense show. And everyone has to bring it on that show. Every single person, even the little boy. If you watch the show, you'll know what we're talking about. But everyone has to bring it. Every single person, and everyone does on the show. The acting is really, really good. I love it. I really love that show.
You can tell when there's chemistry. I've worked on some films where the chemistry between the actors is not so great.
The chemistry, yes. That you mean. I mean, that's why they do a test run. But sometimes I don't know. Sometimes it can change when you get on set. I know for a fact. I haven't gotten a series regular or like a major role yet. But I know for my experience, definitely just bringing your all, when you get on it, just doing your homework, being prepared. I did a American Horror Story. I did an episode for American Horror Story. Yeah, I love that show. And when I went in for the audition, I went deep into my homework. And this was a time where it was just a lot of protesting happening. And I just was having some emotions about that. And that was what my character was about too. I do a lot of activism roles as well. Yeah. So I do a lot of activist roles as well. And I was just like, let me do some homework and how I really feel about what's going on now. And let me put this in this role. And I remember I was like, first let me get this dialogue in, where I don't even think about it when I say it. Like I'm just,
feeling it.
I'm feeling it. And let me get it to that point. And mind you, I only had like 2 days, or maybe I had a weekend to really get myself prepared for this, because it was like a really long monologue. And then I had like few lines in between. And then also I was holding a phone, a smartphone too, while I was doing it. So I was I was doing like a FaceTime type thing where like a live, and I'm talking into the phone, and then I'm showing everyone with the phone. And so I was just like, for auditioning, I said, I have to be off book. I can't go in there holding. I'm not saying that they're going to give me a phone, but what if they gave me this phone? Let me think ahead. And so I ended up doing my homework and really researching. If I know words, like with the dialogues, if I know the words, I still go into the dictionary and learn the words all over again. Because sometimes I feel when you look up the definition of certain words that you think you'll get hints on what your character. I do that when I'm writing
sometimes too. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Me too. Yeah. And so I just over prepared for it. When I got into the room with the casting director, he was like, lo and behold, he said, here's the phone. And I was just like, oh, see, I knew it. I was like, listen, I knew I should have over prepared for this so he handed me this phone, and mind you, I couldn't hold my script and the phone, especially what they wanted me to do, because I had to kind of move around and just do a lot. So I had to just put my script down. and just had this phone. And when I say I just was, whatever I was dealing with the activism, with the things that was going on at the time, I just went in and I just gave my all. And after I was done, the casting director it was silent in the room. First of all, it was just silent. And then he was just like, "Thank you for preparing." That's what he said to me. And then I walked out the room and then I booked a job. And so preparation, just all of that is so key. It's so key.
And you, like you said, you give it your all, and
you give it your all.
That's how you get there. That's how you bring the magic, onto the screen, because, in one way, I mean, so we're little kids right now, they're growing up through, the screen. I wrote something about the window, the phone, right? It's not a TV, it's like a window between you and what's on the other side. But you get to, as a filmmaker, you get to create what's on the other side. And you connect the perspective of what's on the other side of the screen, on the other side of the window, with your perspective as you're creating it. It's kind of like Inception 101. No, I'm just kidding. But it's a really neat thing. And I think, people like you that get it, I think the next generation and the younger generations are going to be able to connect with that even better, in many ways. Yeah, I recently took another, because you should always, I recommend always building your craft and just instrument, oiling your instrument up all the time. And I recently took a workshop. It was for a month. It was like once a week we would meet for the month, and it was called Captivating. For captivating in a close-up. And so, and it's for when you book those lead roles, and on set where they'll shoot you, but it's not a close-up yet, and so it's like it's a full shot, and then when the close-up comes, that's when you have to kind of tone it down. And so the class was all about that, where you're just, it's everything should be in your eyes, and limited movement, and that's a craft. That's a craft. And see, the kids who grow up with cameras in their faces, they do this naturally, subconsciously. Yes.
And I mean, when we worked on it, it was really, in certain things, of course, the teacher was named Wendy Davis. And if anyone wants to look her up, she's amazing, Wendy Davis. And she challenged us, of course, because she would give us sides, and we had to kind of like dissect the sides and really understand, the material. And also with that, she would challenge us to do limited movement with our lips, or to find our like nervous tics. That's what she would call it, a nervous tick. So a nervous tick is like when you're saying your dialogue, if your eyebrows is moving a lot, right. And then you should know what your nervous tick is. So you can, because a lot of times with TV, they don't really, it's not too much with TV, but because a lot of TV is kind of it's shot cinematic, so with a lot of cinematic,
they don't zoom in. They literally bring the camera right to your face, to your nose.
Right to your nose, yes, to your nose, yes.
And there's 3 or 4 people at least around that camera.
Right.
People don't see that. And that's like super hard. I mean, you have to bring out your character, your emotion, the moment, and connect all those 3 things together. And meanwhile, you're looking at people's faces right there going, yeah.
Yes. It's so true. And so she challenged us with that, and she was saying, know your nervous tics. So she would call it out, when we were doing it. And then also, with films, for feature films, it's all about that, especially when they're testing. It's all about that, is being captivating in that. Can you draw someone in with just your eyes? The key. It's like with your headshots.
That's the key, because people are always, you're acting with your eyes. Your emotions come through your eyes. I know I blink a lot on video.
Yeah, that was some people's nervous tics as well. Mine was in my forehead. She was like, "You moving your forehead?"
Michael Caine. Michael Caine said that. I watched him or listened to him in an interview one time, and he said he had to practice on the blinking in front of the camera. So he forced himself to not blink. He was very conscious about blinking in order to, because he had, and actually I think almost everybody blinks. You can see it more on video, people blinking. It's weird.
Yes.
Even if you're not being recorded.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. But something about cinematic, it's like they love that. They love, just being able to have control. I had to do that also for when I did Criminal Minds. When I went in to read for that, the casting director, I came in and I was pretty calm and relaxed with my read, but she was like, less. She was like, do less. So I did less. And when she said less, it didn't mean like drop my energy with my acting. It just meant, with what I was giving, because she put me on tape and my expressions. And so I was like, okay. And I knew what she meant by it. And then she said, do it even more. And I was like, oh, you try. I'm not okay. You want me to do nothing? Okay. so I was just like, but I ended up doing it, and it felt so uncomfortable, but it read. It read, and so I got a call back, and the call back for this show, I swear the whole network was there.
Wow. I
walked into this room and it was filled with like 30 people, and so I walked in and I said, okay, let me focus. I just kind of like, did a head nod and then just went right to my chair and just had to ground myself. And that's another, craft of learning too, it's like, with your nervous tics, if you don't have that under control, you can't, you'll be doing so much or you'll be shaking. Yeah. And so I ended up just taking her note and I did it. And I walked right out. I didn't even look at anybody. I just walked right out and ended up getting that role as well. And when you get on set, you don't have to be as much, but you just have to know when to do it.
I think, and this too, it's the difference between stage acting and in front of the camera is the expressions, because you have to be able to feel somebody at the other end of the theater.
Yep. Yes. So. Yep. It is. It's and with lighting, all that. It's just with theaters. It's pronouncing, it's speaking. You got to speak to the back of the room, and you move around and you're moving on set. I remember from my training in the conservatory and then going on the set of The District, it was a little difficult for me because I didn't know how to find my light on set, and we didn't learn. It's like now they have a lot of workshops for on camera, but then it was just theater. And so I never had a workshop like a on camera workshop in the year 2000. Yeah. I don't know if anyone else did, but I know we all did theater. And so when I got on set, it was really hard for me to find my light. And they would be like, Monique, your light, Monique, your light, Monique. And I was like, what do they mean?
Because it's studio. It's studio sets, basically. It's like, it's one of the things that I love about going to Universal Studios is those things when you get to go on the sets and see, half a house or something, half a room, and then it goes into the other, and it's all trickery, guys.
Yes.
So, what was it like for you to act in front? Because this was your film.
Yes.
This was the film that was in your heart, right? You wrote it, and you were playing the protagonist in your film.
Yes.
And you're used to being in movies and on TV shows especially on TV shows with those cameras, right?
Yes. Yes.
And here you were behind, but there's a level of confidence that you had to have. This is yours. This wasn't Grant's film he shot this film that he shot. He was shooting it as a test to promote it, right?
Yes.
So it wasn't like that. This was the real deal for you.
Yes, this was the real deal for
just
me.
kind of walk everyone through that a little bit.
So with working with an iPhone, we worked with iPhone, and first being on set and the phone in your face, you don't, honestly, I didn't really even see it. I did, well, at first, Grant had to, because I was kind of doing my producer, I was still in my producer head. And I told him, as a director, please, like, get me out of that so I can stay focused as the character. And so he got me straight with that, which I loved. And so when I got into the character and just really got focused, I didn't see the phone. It just I felt like I was really straight on working with Rome, in that scene, just me and him, like theater, like going back and forth. And also with the dream scenes, honestly, it felt like a dance routine. I didn't feel like the phone was there until he played things back. Or until or when Grant asked me, hey, let's do this over. And then he'll put he'll put it in my face and he'll like, okay, go. And so I'll just go. But I really wouldn't pay attention to it. It didn't make me nervous at all. And so that was like the process of that, of like being able to just be free with this character and move around. And really, I love that. I loved that whole process working with a smartphone. It just felt really freeing.
Do you think that's one of the reasons why you're going to make a feature film with this?
Yes. Oh, I want to shout out Levi, Allison, and Jamie, because oh my gosh, for the Mobile Film International Film Festival, we did the workshop. They did a workshop for us, and I still was going back and forth.
You were taking notes and everything. I loved it.
I was taking pictures, notes. I was hyped. I was really hyped, and I couldn't wait. I was like, Ron, we got to get there this time because I got to see the,
They should have given you a degree.
I was taking pictures, notes, and because I wanted to just understand how their process was, because the film was amazing. And then on top of it, you had Jed Brophy. I was like, oh my gosh, because I even researched Blue Moon before I think I maybe even submitted to the festival. I was researching just to see if it was possible to do films with an iPhone. And I looked up apple.com. They have a film festival, and Blue Moon was up there on their website. And I said, let me watch this. And Jed Brophy, I saw, he was in it. And then you had him at your fest. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be here. And so, and then the same day, the workshop and Jed Brophy, I was like, oh my gosh, this is. And
just, I have to commend Levi and the team as well for that, because that was an incredibly well-organized workshop. Very thorough.
It was very just like their film, and I always look at the leader. The leader is the person who sets the tone, right? And that's why Paralysis is what it is. That's why the festival is what it is. I always look at the leader because that's what you're going to get. And it was thorough. It was just, cross the T, dot the I, showing us everything. Some people don't want to give you their goodies. And he did, and that was amazing. And I'm forever like grateful for that, because now it makes me think about like my other films and what I want. Do I want to? How can I do this? And even if I don't shoot it with a smartphone, not saying I won't, but it still gave me more tips on how to organize I call it my Bible, my production Bible. It taught me how to organize for a bigger production. Yeah. And even, oh my gosh, this was the one that got me. And he said his budget, and I was just like, oh, that budget was way less than what I spent for this web series that I told you I learned my lesson with. And I was just like, you did a feature film with that, but oh my goodness, and I was just like, wow, it just blew my mind, and it it just inspired me and opened my mind up.
And he built this whole community kind of around it because, you know, he did that campaign, the funding campaign, and then you could see some of the funders came to see and support him in that film. And see, and it's kind of the same thing. It's like when people come together, I mean, this community in mobile filmmaking, you know, now it's been put on 12 years, but I started this in 2009. This community that has been building around this, right?
Yes.
It's because of the passion that people have for filmmaking. Because if people aren't passionate about storytelling and filmmaking, why would they pick up their phone, right? To do this instead of the thing that, you know, people in this industry do, especially indies, right? Where they keep saving for the next camera. And as soon as they think they got it down, a new one comes out. You know?
It's true.
And meanwhile, you're postponing your film until things are right, and you're never diving in to make the, you know, the mistakes that you learn from.
And, you know, that's actually what I was doing. With Me Versus Me, I was waiting to build my budget to get this major camera, you know, to shoot this. And if Grant didn't contact me and say, hey, do my project, I shot it with an iPhone, I don't think I would have like thought about, you know, just, and he just opened my mind to it. And when I saw his production, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then, you know, we were like, let's go. And so,
he inspired you.
It was just amazing. He really did. He inspired me. Yeah. I thank him a lot.
And that's my take from the film festival experience for me, you know, as the organizer, the founder, whatever, is that, you know, I never get to spend enough time with you guys. And it's about, I love to surround myself with people who inspire each other, you know, because that is magical.
That's what it's about. That's what life is about. Right? You know, it's about giving. It's about, you know, inspiring and learning and, you know, missing it and making it, you know, and just enjoying the process, you know, with what your passion is. And even in me starting as a dancer and coming up, that's how I ended up moving it forward for myself, is just getting around like-minded people, you know, who have the same type of heart. And sometimes you bump heads with certain, you know, but you know how to place yourself in those type of situations and say, okay, well, you're not for it, but let me go here, you know, and learn from that. And, but just to be around like-minded. And I think that's what I loved about your festival, was everyone had the same heart for their projects. And we just all enjoyed each other's projects. I mean, I enjoyed, oh my goodness, from the day 2, from the first feature film to, you know, the short films until Paralysis at the end. And I mean, I was full, you know, and I really was watching just to learn and to ingest and, you know, and enjoy, you know, the process of everyone's hard work.
Well, I appreciate you both coming on to Rome is quiet.
Like,
I'm like, did you fall asleep?
She's like, yeah, she made the film.
No, you guys made a great team. Your entire, you know, you even had some family come out and support, some family.
Yes, my cousin.
And his sister.
She loved it. She enjoyed everything.
Yes, it was just like incredibly awesome having you guys. And you, like I said, whether you make a movie or not, doesn't matter. Come back, have a good time, be a part of the, you know, this whole community is just really incredibly awesome.
Yeah, I also wanted to say the red carpet was so much fun. I called it my introduction to Comic-Con, you know, because I've never experienced the cosplay and just being on the red carpet. That was the first time. And I mean, you really gave it just reminded me of like it's like a Comic-Con session, you know.
Nobody
so
does that, and the cosplayers themselves, they were like, wait, what are we doing? Because only a couple of them knew they had been there before, and the rest of them. But I felt like, you know, when I was getting everybody together, okay, this is how this works. I felt like I was in a corral. I was like, okay, you all need to pick partners and have a go at it. But you all did great. And you see, that's another part that just sort of gets everybody really, because everybody had so much fun. It was goofy. Yes, but it was also, and it brings out, you know, like I always say, even the introverts come out, you know.
Yes, it was like a party. Yeah. It felt like a party. Yeah. It's like the end of the festival party, kind of. Yeah, that's what it felt like. It was really fun.
And I wanted to give you guys that because, you know, you could do a red carpet walk anywhere. Big deal.
Yes,
I'm like, big deal. It is a big deal, but not like this. And I love to bring the San Diego cosplay theme to the fest. You know, we have a category for cosplay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just in case, you know, give you guys more candy to to play with. Monique, is there anything that we missed that you would like to mention, and also make sure that you mention how people can support you and follow you?
I think we spoke about pretty much everything, but you can find me on Instagram at Monique, MoniqueLeagall, Monique Lea-Gall. I am Monique Lea-Gall. You can find me on Instagram, and Facebook, Monique Gall on Facebook. That's how you can locate me and look at all the things that are upcoming, or DM me if you have projects. So, and if you want me to star in your film,
what I'm going to do in the show notes, I'm also going to write an article with you guys. Not you know what I mean.
Yes.
You're like, wait, I got to write one too.
We got to write too, editorial.
But I'm going to do that, but you know, and share some photos with you guys. But also, in the show notes, I'm going to give links so that you all can follow Monique and Rome, and give them some points, some star points on IMDb. And you can see some of their other projects as well.
Yes,
I'm really pleased that you came on this. I feel like we all learned a lot, and it was such a treat to take this little trip with you.
Yes.
And I'm really looking forward to what comes next.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Yeah. I am too. We are as well. For all of us. Yes. Yes.
All right. One thing we always do in this show is, it's not for me to say goodbye to our listeners. So say goodbye to our listeners, guys.
Listeners, thank you so much for taking your time to listen to us, and have a good day.
Adios.